Welcome to the CHL season preview. I'm here with my co-host Mario, of course, to go through each team, see what is different between them, and give a rundown on how I think that they will do. We're going to start here with the Crosby Division, and up first, the Alaska Beavers. This is an old team. In the season last year, they went 14-13. They did not make the playoffs. They missed it by one slot. They've not updated their roster at all. That doesn't mean they're going to repeat the same fate, of course, but let's take a look. They have a good first line. This might be one of the higher scoring lines in the league, I suspect. Good combination of forwards. I think further down the lineup, you're going to run into penalty trouble, especially with the defense. Their goalie, I don't think is strong enough. You compare that with the penalty trouble, you're going to run into too many shorthanded opportunities. I think if they had a better goalie, they could weather it. I think Nilsson is not going to let them, not going to provide them what they need. The sim doesn't seem to like them so far. I'm inclined to agree, and I think they're going to finish worse than they did last year. Moving on, we have a new team, the Albuquerque Ice Melters. This is their first year, and the first superstar, Sundstrom, power forward, second line center. I think that this team is interesting. They've buried their main offensive line. So the first line is weaker. Axelson, Donskoy, and Bjork start on the ice. When they come off, the quote-unquote true first line will take the ice with the opponent's second line. And this is the first instance we've really seen of a matchup, strategy. I think it has potential. I like the idea, and I like this line. I'm not sold on Von Arx and Schrader as good supports for Sundstrom. I would like to see a playmaker with him, but I think that line is going to do well. The goaltending here, Yoki Haru is good. I like this. That's a smart use of points. I think that this team has a middle of the road defense, pretty good top end. This goalie will keep them in a lot of games that I think they might struggle with depth scoring. This goalie will keep them in. Even though they've struggled in the sim, I'm not sure the engine really likes it, but I like this team. We'll see how far they get though. And moving on to an old team. Rebranded, the Lutzen Lunatics are now the Gainesville Guppies. 16-11 record, the Guppies. I guess it was the Lunatics, but they made the playoffs. Second best team in the league last year. They didn't go far in the playoffs, but they had a great regular season record, and it was all thanks to goaltending. And as you can see, this is one of those teams. It's rare in. A few teams have done it, but it's rare. They spent on 2 goalies instead of 1. And, the way that there are no injuries, I'm not set it up like that, but there are rotations, and goalies will swap out every so often. I think it's 80% of your games, and it's 60 games or something, will be your starter, the rest of the backup. So the Guppies have Irons and Kulikov to both kind of share that burden, and that's, I think, a kind of underrated strategy. It sounds weird to say, but why are you paying for a player who's not on the ice all the time? But this is a very defensive team, and I think that having a good backup goalie will be good for them. We switch over to the forwards. This first line, tough to play against, very defensive. Second line, you get to see your scoring depth right here. Markov and Jacobson put up a lot of points in the first year sim. Those two were good. Now, Benoit with them didn't put up as much, but this system likes the three of them even more. So we'll see how that goes. Defensively, I think this is a mess. Like, the team is good defensively, but the defense core, you're not going to get much offense from them. And I think you're going to get a lot of penalties from them. But this is in contrast to the Beavers here. I think that the penalty kill on this team is good. And we'll see what that looks like in practice, but I think that this team ultimately is going to be sinking or swimming based on their goalies, and I have faith in Irons. Let's look at a new team, the New Hampshire Herons. They are new. Good balanced lines. I like how the points have been spent here. The sim does not overly like this first line. I'm inclined to agree with at least the enforcer is not going to play well. He might be good defensively. I think he could get into penalty trouble. It's overall, my favorite part of this team is the middle six. Forget the top and the bottom, but I like these two scoring lines in the middle. Lynch and Park, Kulikov, they're a good trio. I think that you'll see them as far as value goes, they'll be generating quite a bit based on their cost. Defense is solid, middle of the road defense. I like that top pair. I like the middle. The bottom pair is not as important, but I think that this is a team that's simming well. The system likes it. I see them as like an upper half team. I suspect that special teams will be really good. I think that the fact that the middle six is where their scoring comes from means that the power play is going to be strong. I think that the penalty kill, there's enough defensive forwards on this team. I think they'll also be good on the penalty kill. And that's, the best team in the league last year. They had the number one power play and penalty kill. So if the Herons can pull that off, they're going to go far. Next, the New York Mongooses. Now these guys, interesting squad. Old team, 14-13 record. They missed the playoffs. They were tied with Alaska, but their goal differential was really bad. So they may have had the same record, but they were a worse team. This, even though it's an old team, it's a completely new roster. There's one returning player, maybe two actually, I don't remember, but basically this team was scrapped and rebuilt from the ground up, starting with a first line superstar. We got a playmaking superstar, Rocco Callahan. This is a strong superstar. I prefer a playmaker or a sniper as your superstar than a power forward like the last one. But the problem, we'll give it a plus and a minus. Mazzaros as a center. Two-way forward, he's going to win you a lot of face-offs with Callahan on his line. That's good. You want possession to start with Callahan with the puck on his stick. Babenko as a grinder, I think he'll shore up defensively on the line. I'm not sure where his offensive side is going to contribute. I don't think it will. It might drag down the line. But overall, this is a good top six. And Gunnarsson on the second line, I really like the depth scoring there. This is going to match up well, I think, with other teams' second lines. When you get further down the lineup, it starts to look worse, and unfortunately the fourth line, these guys are going to get cooked. This line is awful. The two-way, center at least I think it's a two-way. I don't know, this system is going to say every grinder is a two-way, but I know which ones are which. Anyway, Enforcers on the wing, that's big trouble. Not the end of the world to have a bad fourth line, but I imagine these guys are going to have just real tough minutes every time they're out there. I like the defense. I think that they're good middle-of-the-road defense. It could be better, but based on where the points were spent on offense, I think this is fine. I see them improving off of their score last year. I don't know how much. I don't know if they'll make the playoffs. The sim, it kind of has a middle of the road. It sees them as kind of like missing something. I would say probably like a top end defenseman. If it had one defenseman on the top pair improved by 1 or 2 points, I think the sim would like this team a lot better. And that's those teams. Moving on to another new team here, the Ottawa Ottomans. We got an interesting thing here. This is another buried, quote unquote first line, hidden in here. The superstar enforcer, Scott. I don't know how that's gonna work. I really don't know. A superstar enforcer. He's gonna be. I'll tell you what. He's gonna be giving a lot of people concussions. Whether you like that or not is up to you. But this line in general, Scott Koivu Shanahan. This is the most points spent on a single line anywhere in the sim. So that's 5-5-10. So 20 points on that line. And it translates. I'm kind of surprised. I think that Koivu is a really good center, but and it's helping the line overall. But these guys kind of cleaned up in the preseason here. Further on with their team, bottom six is rough. I don't know. I think that they're weak. Again, not the end of the world. You obviously want better players higher up the lineup, but I think this bottom six matches up pretty poorly with the other bottom sixes out there. The sim doesn't really like this team. The goaltender, he is good, but has not put up good numbers. I don't know if that's because of the defense or if it's because of the weak forward lines, like towards the bottom. They're just getting killed every time they're out there. The goalie's getting dragged down with them. But the sample size is small. It's just the preseason, so we'll see where they go. I think if the goalie improves from what we saw, this team can make the playoffs. Just based on what I've seen so far. If the goalie improves, this team could do something. Next, Portland Raiders. New team. This is the most interesting team in the sim, for sure. Top line, McNeil, Kuzmenko, Clayson, 5-5-5. Tikkanen, Berenson, Ottavainen, second line, 5-5-5. I mean, this is the best top six in the game right now. And third line, 4-4-4. It's great, okay? Even the fourth line. The fourth line is a scoring line. Okay, this team's 4 scoring lines. Is that good? Sure. Yeah, all-out offense. Nothing spent on the defense. Nothing spent on the goaltending. McGill and Kozak are bare minimum. And you know what? I don't hate it. It sounds weird, but the sim does not like them. And in theory, I understand over the full season. But in practice, this is a scary team. I'm seeing them put up 7 to 8 goals a game. And if the opposing goalie is not standing on their head, this team will just run you over. I think they're good enough to make the playoffs. I think having a bad goalie does not matter for them. I think they don't care if you score 4, they're going to score 5. I think that's the plan, and I think it could work. Interesting spread. I don't have anything else to say about this team. I want to see how they go. And last in the Crosby Division is the Quebec City Wolfpack. Old team. Okay, 6-21 record. This is the worst team that we saw in the league last year. And it was, aside from one other bottom feeder, it was not close. However, much improved. I mean, the forward depth is a lot better. The defense, I think, is a lot better. The defense was the big problem with the team last year, and the goaltending was a problem. Everything has been improved. So, the main thing I like about this team is Bailey. Anchor, two-way right shot D. This guy is going to keep a steady hand on the blue line. I like it. Jim Horton in net. This guy, he's gonna be better than the goalie last year. I forget who he was, but look, less said about him, the better. I think that Horton, he's not an elite goalie, but this guy can be steady in net for you. The sim shows that he can be steady in net. The engine loves this team. I think that they're much better than last year. I don't know if that means playoffs, but top to bottom on the lineup, I like it better. I think the distribution of the points is smarter. First and second line centers, both good playmaking centers. I like that. If you're looking at like roster construction, I think about a reliable goalie, 1, anchor on defense, 2, and first and second line centers that you can count on down the middle. This team has every mark of a team that will be successful. Does it play out that way? We're gonna have to wait and see. But that was it for part 1 of this season preview. This was the Crosby Division. So I'm gonna see if I can improve on this, because I'm just talking to myself and it feels weird. But thanks for listening and I guess watching. You can see the screen. I'm moving the mouse around. There's not much to look at, and I'm not explaining everything on there, but it's still there. Anyway, I'll see everyone in part 2. Thank you.